Hey, what's going on, guys? Happy New Year and welcome back to another video. So I'm really glad to be making videos. Real life has gotten in the way a lot over the past couple of months, but all good things. Very happy. Feel rested from time off for the holidays and everything like that, but I'm really glad to be making videos for you guys again. So now, in the spirit of New Year, New Me, we're going to be kind of branching away from some of our normal horror content that we talk about on this channel. Now, very much so, we're going to have a bunch of horror-related videos coming out very soon. I've got some really awesome videos chalked up for you guys, but I do have other passions and other things I like to talk about. For example, what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about all my thoughts on all the changes and all the things that have been going on with the DC universe, now known as the DC Studio, especially since now Discovery's in charge of Warner Brothers, and then James Gunn and Peter Safran are in charge of DC Studios more specifically, with James Gunn being more of the face of it because he's been giving us most of the updates and everything like that. But anyways, want to give you guys my thoughts on that. So kind of jumping into it, there's just a ton of news that have come out around this. More specifically, we kind of keep getting this give and take thing with them. For example, like we were kind of in between, like we still have these old regime movies coming out. They canceled quite a few things like the Batgirl movie, as well as we've been seeing them removing stuff and adding stuff to movies. Like, for example, they added Henry Cavill into Black Adam in the end credit scenes, as well as I think they've removed like a ton of stuff from the Flash movie. I don't know. It's crazy. I'm just ready to see these movies and get them over with because obviously none of these movies are going to impact what's going forward, in my opinion. And James Gunn talked about that some in an article fairly recently, and we'll get into that in just a few minutes. I don't quite understand personally why they decided to introduce Henry Cavill back in the Black Adam movie, only to quickly just pull the rug out from underneath us and be like, psych, son, that's not happening, because they decided to just not go with them at all again. And I feel bad for Henry Cavill because he genuinely was excited to play this role again. And you could tell that just from his post and him talking about it, he was just glad to be back. And I feel really bad for him. And it seemed like Dwayne Johnson was really excited to work with Henry Cavill and actually go against him in a movie future and whatnot. And yeah, it's just kind of sad to see that. But James Gunn wants to direct the next Superman movie personally, apparently. And it's going to be a younger Superman. And we'll see what they end up doing with that. But yeah, I'm a little sad about it because I wanted to see what they were going to do with it. But anyways, he may come back in the future. Nothing's ever out of the question in Hollywood, but we'll see. I don't know. I feel like maybe he might be a little burnt out on it just from the way they treated him this time. With Henry Cavill being axed, they just axed everybody else, right? They just got rid of The Rock. They soured their relationship with him. They have canceled the Wonder Woman 3 movie. Patty Jenkins is upset with them. I don't know what they're going to do with Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa. We'll see what they're going to do with them. Obviously, Jason Momoa has another movie coming out next year, and we've got several other DC projects coming out next year, but I don't know what they're going to do with Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa. I know the guy that plays Cyborg, he's out. We can go down the list, but they're starting over, which is what I expected from James Gunn and Discovery. That was kind of my initial thing, was this thing was a complete mess, so why not start from ground zero and work back up? Because I felt like they were going to have some sort of shared vision with this. So that's exactly what they're going to do. That's exactly what James Gunn has been talking about. And one of the things that I appreciate from James Gunn so much so far is how much he's communicating. That was the most frustrating thing about DC before, is the lack of communication from anybody. It seemed like nobody had 2 seconds to just talk about what they were doing. Like, with all these moves they're making, James Gunn is at the front and center, either tweeting or he's just like doing these interviews and whatnot, just kind of talking about it. And I have faith that eventually James Gunn is going to get the DC universe going in the right direction with Safran as well, because they're co-CEOs. But here's what we know for sure is going to be coming forward into the next phase of DC movies. I don't know if these are going to actually end up being part of like a shared universe, but they're definitely going to be part of DC's umbrella, right? Is we do have the Batman 2 with Matt Reeves directing it again. That's already announced. It seems like something they really want to come out with, so that's going to be something. As well as we're getting a sequel to the Joker movie, which is, I don't know who's going to direct that. I didn't actually look that up, but that's going to be something that comes out. As well as, like I said, we're going to get these remaining 4 movies from the DC slate, the old regime, and then eventually we're gonna get a young Superman movie. So that's what we have on the slate so far. We did get told from James Gunn himself recently, within the past couple of days, that they're gonna be unveiling their full 8 to 10 year plan, or at least some of it, very soon, within January or February. So I'm really excited to see what they're gonna do. Like, he seems like he's got everything figured out in terms of how he wants it to go. So I'm curious to see what he's gonna want to do and what they're gonna do for a shared universe, because I imagine that maybe they might go the proper route this time. I'm crossing my fingers that they hope that they go with like not origin stories, but they may have like solo movies first to kind of get us used to the characters, and then they do shared universe stuff. I don't know, but like I feel like that we're gonna get something soon, obviously within January and February, and I'm interested to see what they're gonna say. Probably the most interesting movie of the 4 movies coming out next year for me of the old regime is gonna be Flashpoint, because unfortunately from what I've heard, they are talking about keeping Ezra Miller, or it's rumored that they're going to keep Ezra Miller, because James Gunn hasn't flat out said that he wants to get rid of Ezra Miller as the Flash. I mean, he said he doesn't really see any reason why right now. So I'm kind of confused by that. It seems like they've had a ton of issues, you know what I mean? Like in terms of Ezra Miller. And I'm like, I don't know. Like I'm trying to rationalize with it, but I just don't see any reason why they would. It seems like maybe they're just trying to get through Flash and then move on from them. So we'll see what happens, but Flashpoint seems like it's gonna be pretty interesting because they've added and removed so many things from that movie, and I'm curious to see what they're gonna do. But the rest of them all seem pretty standard solo movies, like the Beetle movie. I forget what it's called, like Blue Beetle, Black Beetle, whatever. I don't know anything about that character. And then Aquaman, and then Shazam. It all just seems like one-off things that are just gonna get out and make as much money as they can, and that'll be it. But I'm curious to see what their first movie in 2024 is gonna be, or their first show, or whatever they decide to do. Now I want to talk about, like, you know, kind of my overall feelings on it. I mean, I've kind of expressed a little bit of that in the beginning of this video. Is I just don't feel like it could get much worse for DC at this point. They've already kind of hit rock bottom. So they've already kind of hit rock bottom in terms of where they are, because I mean, they're already going back to ground zero. The movies so far, even though I've liked a lot of them, like Batman v Superman, Zack Snyder's Justice League, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, there's been quite a few movies that have done really well in terms of, for me, I thought they were really successful in terms of what they were trying to do. I enjoyed them. But I have to admit as a fan that, like, okay, they haven't worked in terms of what they were designed to do. So I get why they would start over. So like I said, they can't get any worse from here. I'm just ready to get over with these 4 movies that are coming out next year. They have been in the works forever. Some of them have been done forever. Some of them have been talked about to death, like the Flash movie. I'm just ready to get past these movies and just into James Gunn's vision. That's really what I want more than anything right now. I really hate to say it, but I don't really care about these movies as much anymore. I'm gonna go see them all in theaters, obviously, because I'm a big comic book fan, but I just don't really care about them as much as I want to. Now we're gonna segue into what I think is gonna happen next from what they're talking about from this 8 to 10 year run. Now, again, I'm gonna repeat it again. I think that they're gonna start off slow this time. I don't think they're gonna jump right into like Batman v Superman or some crap like that like they did the last time. I think they're really gonna take their time. They're gonna start to build this slowly. They're gonna start off with some solo movies and really take their time. We're gonna have some TV shows and all these various things. I think they've got like a really good plan this time. I'm gonna assume the best. I'm gonna be positive. Now, I do wonder why, like, if they're gonna keep Matt Reeves' Batman and the Joker separate. Obviously, I don't think that Matt Reeves and the Joker movie kind of line up timeline-wise. The Joker in this one seems a lot older than Matt Reeves' Batman, so it doesn't really make much sense. I don't know. From a story perspective, but I don't think that necessarily those movies will cross over. But I wonder if at the bare minimum, Robert Pattinson's Batman is going to show up in some DC movies later, because to me that makes sense, because if they're talking about doing a younger Superman, then this current Batman we have with Robert Pattinson is a younger Batman, so it makes sense to kind of tie them together eventually. I don't know, that's just something that kind of came up in my mind, because I know that Matt Reeves was pretty stern about wanting to keep his Batman grounded and didn't want to like add these supernatural elements and these super powered elements into it. But it's not really, at the end of the day, his full decision. If they decide to make it a shared universe thing, they'll do it. But for me, I still believe that they may go with the multiple Batman route, but I don't know, we'll see. And then some other questions I have about it and some other thoughts I have on it is, what are they gonna do with Suicide Squad? James Gunn did direct Suicide Squad, and I thought it was actually really good, and it was actually really successful overall, even for it coming out same day release on HBO Max and in theaters. I thought it did really well, and I want to see more of that, because I thought that style of movie was actually pretty good. I want to see Margot Robbie back as Harley Quinn, but I don't know. I just don't know if I see them reintroducing these characters again. Maybe that was the last time we see them. Who knows? But that's something else that I have questions on, is what are they going to do with the Suicide Squad? And I don't know, just like there's so many questions that I have and we have so little information. But my overall thoughts, just to summarize, is that I appreciate James Gunn so much already for being so transparent with us and really giving us like clear communication about what is going on, even if it's stuff that we don't want to hear right now, like they're teasing Cavill and then taking him away, getting rid of The Rock. They're doing all these things, like I get it, but at least we're getting communication that they are just not part of the long-term plans. And even though, yes, I don't agree with it 100%, I can appreciate it because I'm like, at least we're getting some information, unlike before we got nothing. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for now on this topic. I'll definitely update you more when we get the full slate of movies coming out, either end of this month or into next month. But yeah, we'll talk about more DC stuff here soon. But I appreciate you guys so much for watching my first video back in 2023. But yeah, we'll catch you in the next one. We'll see you next time.